live here just in time for qualifying for the 24 Hours of Spa. I'm Jesse Lee. I'm here with surprise co-commentator Ryan Gill and Nick Setnick in the booth, bringing you all the pictures of the action today. Well, I am ready for a 24-hour race, and I think this one might fly by a little quickly. Well, you may be asking yourself, what is the catch? What is the caveat today? Well, you can't bring any of the modern cars, all the old ones, the McLaren, the Rex, the Jag, the old Aston, NSX, Nissan, Bentley, and the Lambo. Ryan, it's going to be a weird one.
Good evening, Jesse. It's definitely going to be a weird one. That is for sure. We have some of the more unusual picks out for this 24-hour race, and we're only about 2 minutes away from the 15-minute qualifying session that we're going to have this evening before we get underway for 24 hours of racing at Spa. Of course, everyone will remember that we did have the 24 hours of Kyalami not too long ago, but of course, you know, you can't do sim racing right unless you have at least one 24 hours of Spa a year.
I think that's right. I think, we at this rate, we can have 2 or 3. But today, what these drivers and teams are going to have to deal with is a bit of cruel and unusual punishment. 24 hours, twice around the clock, and they are not allowed to change drivers at all. One driver only. It is going to be a marathon in the most simple of terms. And in addition to that, they're in older cars that may have difficult handling characteristics. And I don't know what these teams and drivers are laughing about, but they've all showed up, and you can't see it because it's dark right now, but they have all shown up in what can only be described as the most hideous of livery.
Well, I mean, it's an April Fool's event. Why not get the April Fool's liveries out? And we do have some very inspiring creations out on the grid here tonight. I kind of look at this grid and I think to myself, this is what Mike Noble's livery library must look like on a daily basis. I mean, when Mike Noble picks out a car, I can only imagine that these kind of abominations are the kind of liveries that he has available for selection for every car. And, well, it's going to be interesting here tonight. But as we come to the end of practice, Jesse, I mean, look at the speed. 2:19.0 for a Lamborghini all the way out at the front there. We've got 3 Lamborghinis on the grid here tonight, and only one of them finding themselves in the top 10. And, well, it's the fastest of practice, no less.
Well, the other thing you're going to have to worry about here today, folks, is the weather. We are in Belgium, and one thing is for sure, when we are in the mountains, you will get weather. We don't know how much. We actually don't know if we will get any, but it is very much a possibility, as it always is here at RCI. Everybody just now finishing up their final practice laps, and a lot of Jags in the top 10. And if I remember correctly, the last time we brought cars like this to Spa, I believe it was also won by a Jag, or at least it came very, very close.
Well, the last time we had these kind of cars out at Spa was actually the very first RCI event, wasn't it, Jesse? Almost a year ago now.
Holy cow.
And
that puts it in perspective.
Yeah, it was in very similar conditions. It was supposed to be, you, George, and myself covering that race, but, happen as it may, one of us could not attend, and, we had to bring in a replacement. That replacement was Mike Jones, and that's when we all found out about the now famous throughout RCI term Jaguar. And I've regretted bringing him into the commentary box ever since. But Mike Jones isn't here tonight, thank goodness. But we don't have George Smith in the box either tonight, which is a big shame. But hopefully we'll have George, in the commentary box fairly soon. Meanwhile, as we wait for practice to finish, I think we've only got one car left coming into the bus stop chicane now. That is the number 83 of Gunyesu. The Aston Martin V12 Vantage going to come across the line. will finish the practice session now. We head over into qualifying. 15 minutes is what
Yes,
these
and
guys get.
all 22 of these highlighters will get a couple of attempts to set the quickest lap. Practice was not that competitive, but as we've always known, practice isn't really that indicative of what you are going to see. It's all to play for here, and there are so many Jaguars in this race. It would be difficult to bet against them in qualifying, especially with the advantage that they have down these massive straightaways. But we will see if that ends up being the case or not, as everybody getting out on the track. And Billy Octane, of course, the first one out on track. I remember the time where he always used to be, or try to be, the first one. And everybody using joke team names today, as well as Billy Octane racing for the All Gas and EA. Must be a EA Sports fan out there.
I wonder if that Bentley comes with some DLC that needs purchasing for it to be available for selection here tonight. But Billy Octane out in the 333, and looks like he is going to be the first driver to come around and start a flying lap for the qualifying session. There is a Jag in behind. That's the number 101, I believe it is, of Ryan Mawson, actually. Another one of the fellow RCI staff that we have out here. We have a couple of them throughout the field here today, and I think across some of the other splits as well.
I love his name. Have you seen it? Have you seen his team name?
Yeah,
Forgot
yes,
My Wallet Racing, because he's in a
have.
Jag.
Ooh, a bit twitchy as well.
You forgot where the racetrack was right there.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Jag hasn't been around at Spa for a while, so it's understandable. But here we go then, in the final sector, and now towards the final couple of corners. They are going to get started on their first flying laps of the qualifying session here tonight. It's going to be Billy Octane that comes through the bus stop chicane. And this is the 2015 Bentley. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, not the 2018 Bentley. So here we go then. Across the line goes Billy Octane. Here's Samuel Chumley. He's in the McLaren 650S here this evening. And there goes Billy Octane into turn one. And now makes his way down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. In-car camera here, providing a good view of Billy Octane. Comes up through Eau Rouge, over the top of Radion now. Does not seem to invalidate his lap, actually takes it fairly clean, but loses some time to Ryan Mawson in the Jag behind. We know how quick the Jag is in a straight line. You can kind of see it in the mirrors there, Jesse, just getting closer, 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 closer. That big green monster becoming ever more obvious, but Billy Octane brakes. And then, ooh, Ryan Mawson getting much, much closer now at the back here. And I think Ryan Mawson getting held up slightly in qualifying here. Billy Octane struggling a bit in the Bentley.
Yeah, Mawson just backed off there a little bit too. I mean, he realized he's not going to get around him in this section of the track. There's nothing he can do. So what Mawson's going to do is probably back off a little bit and try to get him on the straightaway and not ruin his lap. Get a banker lap in there. It's what he will be thinking now. And either let off at the end of this lap to give yourself more space, or try and get as close as you can to make the pass here on the straight. But one way or another, he is going to have to get out from behind Octane if he is going to be slowed down on these massive straights. It'll be interesting to see how he goes about that. And well, judging by some of the livery choices, the car choices, I don't think people are taking this 24-hour race very, very seriously at all, especially with the team names being as they are.
You could say that, but you know what? It's an April Fool's event. Let's let's all relax. Sim racing has been very, very serious over the past few months, especially around here at RCI, and this is just a little bit of an event for people to let off some steam. We do actually have a Nissan in the grid here tonight. Mazzolini down in 13th place at the moment. He's in the old Nissan, hasn't left the pit lane yet by the looks of it. Billy Octane, by the way, comes across the line. It's a 2:21.8 for the Bentley. And it looks like Samuel Chumley and Anton Olive will be the first driver to crack the 2:19 barrier. The Lamborghini non-Evo, remember, breaking into the 2:19 barrier with their first banker lap, and that's not a bad lap at all.
No, it isn't. 219 is pretty much where I would expect. I expected to go down a little bit more. Some of the, and matter of fact, there's Marquise right there with a 19.635. That is exactly what I was talking about out of the Jag. It's pretty much what I expected. Olive, obviously a little upset. He has the 717 F for the guy who stole my number. He must be paying respects there.
Well, it's one of the more common issues in sim racing, isn't it? Someone stealing someone else's number. The number 23, in fact, is one of the most popular numbers. Not on the grid this evening, though, I've noticed. Funny enough, and it's one of those numbers that typically you've got to be first to get the number 23 down, or you can pretty much be guaranteed it's gone. Same goes for the number 69, of which we do have a car out here with the number.
What's 69 mean?
I'll leave that up to your interpretation, Jesse. You're always very good at
That's a
figuring,
hug, right?
That's figuring things out on your own.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Billy Octane and Harry Conway would always say keep it 69, so it definitely means something wholesome if it's coming from.
Well, if there's two chaps that hug each other a lot, it's them, and I wouldn't expect anything less out of the two of them.
Well, you know what they say, Triple R. If you know, you know, and
keep it
we
in the
definitely
family.
know.
Wait, no, that's not it.
We definitely know, but we're not sure if any of you guys know. But if you do know, don't post it in the chat because got to keep it, as Jesse said, keep it in the family. And we're looking at Antoine Olive again. He's up on his lap time, needs to find just over 3.5 tenths of a second. He's got 4 tenths of a second at this point in time, but he's slightly losing out on the exit. Crosses the line, 51 thousandths short of Marquez's provisional pole time. And I mean, how great does it look, Jesse, so far to have a Jag and a Lamborghini on the front row of the grid?
It's like stepping back in time to right around 2015, Ryan. I actually absolutely love it. In fact, it's very, very different, and it's pretty fantastic. It is like stepping back half a decade and seeing what GT3 racing was like. And I feel like as the march of time, we continue to go forward, it so often overlooked the older cars and the older series that in what they look like, and eventually you go back to it in a sort of a time capsule way. You go, oh yeah, that is what they were driving back then, and this is sort of what we have. As that lap was pretty much aborted by Marquise there. That was way off the pace, but Olive is second place, only half of a tenth off of the poles. Chumley, who is 2 tenths out, is in third and also in the pit lane. Here is Ryan Mawson, who was trending in the right direction earlier, got caught up behind one of the Triple Rs, and now has a clean road in front of him. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. Well, he has forgotten his wallet, so he is going to reset. If he wants to, he can get probably one more timed lap if he leaves pit lane fairly quickly indeed. Grant Willamont, would not have expected him to be struggling at the bottom end of the top 10. Expect more out of him, even in a ghastly green 316 V12 Aston. But the sound that thing makes is absolutely heavenly.
Definitely the best sounding car in ACC, hands down. I don't think there's any contest there. As continue to look at Grant Willamont for turn 1. Got to be mindful of those track limits around here at Spa. It may have been about half a decade since these cars were thundering around here for a 24-hour race, but the track limits haven't lightened up any. They are still quite as strict as ever on some of these corners, and, well, particularly down there at No Name. And just about under 5.5 minutes left of this session. Olive has returned to the pit lane. And in the McLaren, just in behind, is that Samuel Chumley just behind in the 111? I think it is. He's just about 2.5 tenths off of provisional pole at this point in time. He's not on a fast lap right now. But you know what? 2.5 tenths. McLaren 650S. I reckon Samuel Chumley can overturn that, Jesse.
I reckon he can. I just was looking at the AAA to McCall. He had an incident at the top of Eau Rouge there. And now the 82, or was that the 83? That's the 83 of Gunsu has returned to pit lane. They may, if they do it quick enough, be able to continue their participation in the session. Chumley goes, well, actually stays in third, I should say. Doesn't improve on that lap. Lap very far off the pace. Been seeing that bit of a trend here. The lap's not going their way. You wouldn't expect that. Of 22 cars in this race, you would expect there to be a bit more space, and perhaps they're just pushing so hard they are making mistakes.
Well, I think it's important to remember as well that some of these cars are, should we say, significantly quicker than others. I don't think it's unfair to say that the SRO BOP was not as refined back then as it is, in 2020, 2021. There's a bit of a typical trend here. You can see the Lamborghinis towards the top of the field. The Jags as well, not doing bad around here at all. And as you look a bit further down, you can then see the Bentleys and, the Aston Martins. They're kind of in the mix there as well, but something, very, very noticeable is the Hondas aren't doing particularly well. The best Honda at the moment, 2 seconds off the qualifying pace for provisional pole position. And our Nissan, number 53, hasn't even got a valid lap on the board.
Yes, indeed. I wonder, well, I would say, considering how Mazzolini stayed in pit road there in the 53, I was thinking maybe they were going to take a provisional as a joke, but turns out they're not. They are out there trying to set a lap. They will get an opportunity to do as much as Magnani here goes to the 6th place position.
Quick shout out to Mikhail Sundstrom in the chat, one of our devs. 650S is the best looking GT3 car, hands down. Someone give that man a promotion. Definitely.
Isn't Mikhail spotting for?
He's supposed to be in an endurance race at this point in time. Yeah,
he is. And last I heard, he was spotting. So not only is he spotting for another race, he's in our chat.
He's probably also telling Stewie how bad we're messing all of this up. Meanwhile, Klaus has gone provisional pole with a 2:19.0. So we have a Lamborghini on provisional pole, and if I remember correctly, yes, that lap time is slightly quicker than the lap time he set in practice.
Yeah, it sure is, and he's right there on the cusp. What can Pedro Marquez do to potentially get back at him? He's going to have to climb nearly half of a second, mind you. The fastest lap for the 28 Sims and Riggs Esports team was 19.5 dead. So again, going to have to do nearly an entire half of a second. I think the Jag maybe has it in it, but we will have to, you still got to run the rest of the lap. It isn't just straightaways around here. And of course, goes without saying, my favorite car, Ryan, by a mile in GT3 racing is the Jag. I just love it. I love how chaotic it is. I love how it sounds. It's not quite V12 good, mind you, and I love how abstract it is. That Jag is basically me in car form, and that's why I like it. Sean Moriarty goes to the 5th place position, but gets knocked down to the 6th place position, 19.917, and that he will get one more lap out of it. As a matter of fact, final minute of qualifying here coming in.
Well, we have a Lamborghini and a Jag on provisional pole. It's an all Lamborghini second row of the grid at this point in time, but that could all change. Both Anton Olive and Danilo Magnani still out there, still potentially improving on their lap times, as is Pedro Marquez. Samuel Chumley back in the pit lane, and Sean Moriarty. He's also out there trying to improve on his lap time. Can he get his Aston Martin V12 Vantage any higher up the grid than 6th place at this point in time? It's the best of the V12s right now, but sits 0.8 of a second off the pace. And, well, Jesse, considering, what we've seen in practice and what we've seen in qualifying, I mean, Robin Klaus looks like the driver to beat at this point in time. And, 24 hours, it's going to be a long, long race. But looking strong right now for one of the Lamborghinis.
Yeah, it is. Klaus, I don't know if he has any other rival other than himself, but he's still got to run all 24 hours by himself, and he's still got to weather any potential storms, both metaphorically and literally. So we'll see if he's able to do that. As Marquez is on his final attempt, he was several seconds slower that last lap than his fast lap. This is his last shot at it. He is the man that has the best shot to overthrow Klaus for the pole position, but quite frankly, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do it.
Well, the Nissan has finally got a lap down on the board, but it's 5.3 seconds off the pace. We're currently looking at Magnani at this point in time. Comes out the final corner, up towards the timing line, up by 0.2 of a second, will improve to 3rd. And not a bad lap time indeed. Of course, Sean Moriarty did put the Aston Martin V12 Vantage into 3rd, now knocked down into 4th though, but still set to start on the 2nd row of the grid, unless Antoine Olive can do anything about this. Comes out of the final corner, looks to be losing time, crosses the line, will not improve. And Pedro Marquez, he is improving on his lap time, comes up towards the timing line. He will improve as well, but nowhere near enough to touch the 2:19.0 of Robin Klaus. And that brings an end to the 15-minute qualifying session to set the tone for 24 hours of racing.
Well, here you have the results of qualifying for the April Fools 24 of Spa here on RCI TV. Klaus leading Marquez and Magnani are your top 3. Moriarty will share the 2nd row. Then behind them, Olive and Roth, Chumley and Gunny Sue, Settery Mawson rounds out the top 10. McCole Willamont, Octane, and Fritsch, Foch and Stricker, I should say, excuse me. The other brother, McCole, and Magazi, Jacqueline Atzwanger, and I can't see the final 2 drivers. And there they are. That's Mazzolini in the GTR that did not, and Balskry, who will start shotgun on the field. Well, in an endurance race, it's not important where you qualify, it's where you finish. Anything can possibly happen. There is one mandatory pit stop in today's race. They only have to take a liter of fuel, and there is the ever-present threat of weather. And folks, it wouldn't be a April Fool's sort of race if we didn't get a weather prediction. The problem with that is, you astute viewers out there might know that normally we get to see 30 minutes in the future. Well, today we only get to see a minute in the future, and that is going to throw everybody a curveball. On the grid, though, temperature is favorable, 17 degrees C here at race start. No stewards today for this one-off race. I feel like we're going to see some elbows out, right?
Potentially. For those of you at home, maybe thinking to yourself, well, what does 1 minute mean around here as a potential, I can't even get my words out tonight, potential, weather forecast? Well, what it means is you come across the start-finish straight and you see it change to, say, rain in 1 minute. Let's just say that the rain is going to arrive before you get to Puon. So it's going to be around about in the 2nd sector that it's going to start. That's about as much of a warning as you have around here. And it's going to be interesting. As you were saying, Jesse, the track temp and ambient has just gone up slightly. And of course, we'll be expecting that to change drastically over the course of the race, for 24 hours. I mean, the cars have been sat on the grid for an hour at this point, Jesse. They lined the cars up on the grid at 8 a.m. It's now 9 in the morning, and it's going to be closer to about 10 o'clock when it's going to be about past 10 o'clock, I think, when this race gets underway. So we've still got about another hour of chat until the race gets underway.
We do indeed, and I just realized something. How I don't know if any team here had considered that the time rolls on the grid and whatever temperature it starts at is not actually what it's going to start at. I wonder how many of these guys
Sets up your
are
precious
very
17 degrees. It's going to be about 24 by the time the race
they're
starts.
very quickly adjusting their tire pressures right now because it makes a difference. It really will make a difference. It makes a difference with wear. It makes a difference with how much traction you have. And it didn't go up by a degree. It's went up by 3 degrees now, and it's going to continue. They still got basically an
The
hour.
question is, Jesse, the
Yes.
question is, do you pit every lap to make sure that you have the perfect pressures for every single lap? Or do you just wing it and go on one set of tires for the entire 24-hour race?
I think the winner will be on the same tires they started this race on. But there will be somebody who will inevitably have messed this up where during their one and only mandatory stop, they do elect to change tires simply to change the PSI once they get a handle of it. This is so out of the ordinary for these drivers. 24-hour races do not happen every day. You don't get this sort of action or this sort of knowledge without doing it. And I think a lot of people are going to earn themselves an education here this evening at Spa. And again, look, the track temp keeps going up 21 degrees centigrade now. Or not centigrade, Celsius, excuse me.
Well, Amy Roberts out in the chat. Will there be a shout out to the most damaged car to finish? I think that's a great award.
That
we should give out. That is a fantastic idea. Someone
Absolutely.
asking, what's the catch with this race? Well, it's a 24 hours of Spa event, and they're not allowed to drive any of the modern cars. They're only allowed to drive cars from pre-2018, I believe it is.
That is correct.
All of the cars out here today are either 2018 or prior cars. So that's Lamborghini non-Evo. We've got the Jag out here, the Aston V12. We've got the Bentley 2015, the Nissan 2015. Yes, that is the Nissan that drinks almost twice the amount of fuel per lap than its 2018 counterpart. And we've got the Honda non-Evo out here as
Brian,
well. And the McLaren 650S. You'd forgotten that about the old Nissan, had you?
I used to race the old Nissan, but it has been so long that I had forgotten that bit. We do actually have 23 drivers in today's race. Ada is in at the final moments, I believe, and will start dead last in the field in the 505 Honda. But yeah, I'd completely forgotten that about the GTR.
We've got Junior McCall in the pit lane. Junior McCall is going to start from the pit lane.
So Junior McCall will start from the pit lane. Now you have to wonder, is that on purpose? A lot of tricks going on out there today. So is this a trick or is this self-preservation considering where they qualified? It could be self-preservation. You don't want to be in the middle of the field.
He's going to have to hope there isn't a pile up over the top of Radion because that's where the pit exit is.
Well, coming out of pit lane, you would hope to be slow enough to be able to dodge them either way. Well, we're going to go twice around the clock. Just about 11 a.m. is going to be your start time. Actually, it's probably going to be a little bit later than that. But we're going to go twice around the clock. Every team must have one driver, and that driver cannot be relieved by anybody else. You can change tires, but we think the winning team is not going to change tires. There is a mandatory stop in which you must take 1 liter of fuel. I know for a fact some of these teams have elected to start on low fuel, and some of them have went for max fuel. So there will be fuel strategy in pit road at some point in this race. Weather looks good now for the next minute, Ryan. Partly cloudy. track is getting hot. It is now 7 degrees C warmer
Oh,
than when they were dropped onto the grid.
I was about to say, imagine the chaos if everyone coming up towards the start line now and they got the warning 1 minute as they were approaching the start line, it's going to start raining. Everyone panic into the pit lane. But, well, it could happen around here. We could get some sprinkles of rain. And, well, 24 hours. You never know what's going to happen in these kind of races. But as you said, Jesse, 20 degrees track temp, 20 degrees ambient, 25 degrees track temp. It's and it's going up, 21 now ambient, and it's going to be interesting. I mean, credit to anyone tonight that goes out there and does this race on one set of tires. I mean, could you imagine tire saving 24 hours? I mean, you'd make Sergio Perez look like an amateur.
I'm thinking there's going to be weather at some point, so they won't actually have to do that. But that has to be the mindset, because you know when into the future it's going to be dry, so you have to still be on that strategy of that's what's going to happen. A couple of questions from chat is actually I've done and forgotten. I'm going to read it. What is it? Oh yes, there are no stewards. Are there going to be in-game penalties? Yes, the ACC stewards will be enforcing penalties as per usual. So 3 track cuts and you will get yourself a very unfortunate drive-through penalty. Speeding in pit lane will get you a stop and go 30. And
no Spa 2020 lines around here, please.
But yes, absolutely not. No Spa qualifying lines, as they are going to line up, and they will start on the GP straight here, I think, today.
No, they should. They should start at the usual.
Well, then why is
usual
the
24
line?
hours.
Why is the line on the map there?
The timing line is always there.
Are they April Foolsing me here?
I think Jesse Lee has just April Fooled himself in the April Fool's event.
Here's the thing. It is Saturday, and I've been enjoying my Saturday thus far. Put it that way.
You have another race to commentate this evening.
Yes, Ryan Mawson, who is my partner for that race, is in this race. Matter of fact, there he is as we come down the straightaway that isn't straight, the GP pit lane, or the GT pit lane, I should say. Klaus and Marquez lead them to the green. Lamborghini and Jag waiting for the lights, waiting for the flag. And there it is. The flag goes down, the lights go off, and we are green here for the RCI 24 of Spa. And a clean start for Klaus and Marquez as they get along freely. But up à rouge, everybody else seems to have done it an absolute treat as well, as they continue to jockey for position now.
Everyone getting away cleanly as well, but Pedro Marquez wasting no time in challenging the likes of Klaus for the lead of this race. 24 hours will pass on this circuit. We've got a Bentley off as well. Not entirely sure who that is, but we have a Bentley off the road and rejoining via one of the escape roads. The number 24 car.
That's Raw. No, it isn't Raw.
Is turned around. The 24 Lamborghini is turned around. Gino McCall, by the way, is making his way down the Kemmel Straight at this point in time. He's been released from the pit lane. But fairly clean start, it has to be said.
Yeah, Bowskry was the Lamborghini that was spun around there at the end of the Kemmel Straight. But like you said, fairly clean start, and they are still scrapping here in the middle of the pack. Billy Octane for the EA Sports team trying to make a pass here around the outside. That's going to be very deadly or dangerous indeed, but he's actually just fighting to keep his position from Fritz right now in the 69. Well, he gets that done and now sets his sight on McCall, the other McCall in front of him. Of course, the 888 Junior McCall released from pit road. He's all good. We'll never probably know if that was on purpose or not, but I think it might have been, and I do not mind that strategy if it was. It could have been that he just didn't hit the button in time, but you got about 5 minutes, so I would typically assume that it was the latter, as we have a battle for the lead here. Pedro Marquez for Sims and Riggs, early pressure here coming to the end of lap 1. He missed the chicane, did Klaus, but maybe that was a defensive move, but it's not going to help him too much. Marquez still all over the back of him, looking for a space, looking for the inside, the outside. He's living La Vida Loca, and he is trying to get the pass done to the outside again. Can he be hard enough on the brakes? No, he can't. He is going to try to undercut the corner, an absolute treat. He does that, but still not enough, as they are going to be nose to tail and Eau Rouge and ready on again.
Very good first lap for all of these guys out here at this point in time, and very, very good to see the lead of the race being challenged so early on here. Here we go again. The Jag going to have another look on the Lamborghini at this point in time. We've already documented how quick the Jag is in a straight line, but that Lamborghini, non-Evo, of course, is not a slouch either on the straights, but the Jag looks better on the brakes. Going to be the outside, comes into the inside. And Pedro Marquez, has he got the move done? Has he finally got in front? Yes, he has, and he overtakes Robin Klaus. And that has now led Klaus to be vulnerable to the likes of Olive, and he's going to be on the inside as well. Is Olive going to get the position done? No, he isn't, and he's going to have to tuck in behind. So it's Jag leading in the 24 hours of Spa, and it's Lamborghini 2-3-4.
Well, something happened in the hairpin in turn number 1 because 199 McCall has teleported to pit road. They went into the runoff in that Bentley and now have teleported to pit lane. So something has happened to them, and that has taken them out of the middle of the pack. Morgan McCall, there he is, sitting in the pit lane. That looked to me, by my measure, a mechanical issue. Didn't see an incident or anybody else involved. It's just like he drove straight off into the runoff. So potentially a mechanical issue for the 199, but the pack continues on, and the battle for second place very, very well and truly at stake here between the 4 drivers pictured here: Klaus, Olive, Magnani, Moriarty, and here comes Chumley, the Chum train in the middle of it, who I learned, Ryan, we may have both learned, in fact, he doesn't stream, does Chumley? He does, but somehow manages a fan base. That is absolutely incredible. People love him.
Well, we love him here at RCI, and currently under pressure, I think, there from Gunyezu, but manages to defend into the bus stop chicane. And Chumley continues onwards in that McLaren 650S, definitely one of the better looking cars on the grid. You can just see in the background there was that Jag on Aston Martin. I think that was Jaroslav Roth trying to close down on Grant Willamot. Nothing doing there at this point in time. But I guess the big question right now, Jesse, is looking at the track temperature out there. It's 28 degrees track temperature now. And it's 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Lights went out 2 hours ago at just about midday. At this point in the time, I mean, tire pressures, it doesn't matter what you set your tire pressures as at this point in time. They're probably completely wrong. And there goes Jaroslav Roth, just gets it all wrong at the end of the Kevel Straight and has to tuck in behind Grant Willamot to avoid getting any sort of warning for track limits.
Incidentally, Never-Ending First Gear was my favorite book as a baby when my mother would read to me in the crib. And you can't not pay attention to the weather. It is clouding over a little bit more. Is Aliyev going to get the pass done into the carousel area? Yes, I think he might just, as he sticks there, but no, has to back out of it. Does he or does he not? No, still side by side, but just gets beat on the exit of the corner by Klaus. Meanwhile, Marquez not getting too far out there, but that light there helped immensely for Pedro Marquez, as he now has a bigger lead. He only had about 4/10. They weren't letting him get away, but now he indeed has about a second or so, 1.4 seconds the gap to Klaus behind, as Aliyev would very much like to get around him as the battle between the old Lamborghinis do continue. I will say, the 199, by the way, has retired. We are forced to believe at this point that it was mechanical.
We've got Ryan Mawson, who's already done his mandatory pit stop for this evening.
That's very Ryan Mawson of him. I love Mawson because he'll tell you his strategy if you ask, and then he'll execute it, and then he's surprised that nobody else did the same thing. And,
he'll tell you his strategy and still beat you.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was at Donington. The last time I commentated a race he was in, he says, "Oh, I'm going to pick this car." And I was like, "Ryan, why are you picking that car?" He goes, "Oh, it's OP at Donington." I was like, "Oh, does anybody else know that?" He goes, "I don't know. We'll find out on race day." It turns out nobody did.
Absolutely incredible. And someone asking the team name of the 717. That's
F's in chat.
explicative for a race number being stolen,
Oh
unfortunately.
no, there's been a crash. There's been a crash. Was that Olive? I think it might have been, and it was indeed. Was that Olive?
No,
Who
it
was
wasn't
that? No,
Olive. That was Magnani. Oh, dear.
So what happened here to Magnani? He was in this fight though, up there with Olive, or just behind it maybe. Yeah, okay.
This looks like a typical Radion mistake. Is that what we're gonna see? Ooh,
oh yeah.
Yep, just losing it and then
hard into the wall. RKO out of nowhere. And back across the track. That is a Code Brown moment if you've ever had one as a driver. The top of Radion, you cannot see anything. And lucky to escape there, but massive damage. Now finds himself 3 wide here. How is this ever going to work? Oh, it's not going to. That's exactly how that's going to work. As a shunt. And they will not appreciate that. And meanwhile, the 53 Nissan of Mazzolini is nearly inside the top 10.
I was just about to say, Mazzolini started 21st. And he's currently running in P12, the 2015 Nissan, doing an incredible job at this point in time. The only thing I would be worried about is the MPG on that car at this point in time. I'm not entirely sure if you can make 24 hours without at least 1 more litre of fuel going into that car. So we'll have to see how Mazzolini goes when it comes in for his pit stop. Jaroslav Roth, meanwhile, is still hunting down the Aston Martin V12 Vantage of Grant Willamot, who has found himself now right behind Samuel Chumley as Gunyesu's got past, and there goes Jaroslav Roth. Is he going to be able to beat the V12 on the brakes? Ooh, got to slow down soon, boys, or you're running to Chumley. But yes, it does look like Roth has managed to get it done, and ooh, is that Billy Octane going to take advantage of that situation? Not quite.
He'll beat him into the braking zone. That's Billy Octane's calling card here. We'll see if he dives down in there.
Mazzolini, by the way,
strange things.
Mazzolini, by the way, has moved up into 11th, I think. Oh no, he's just moved back down into 12th. He was up into 11th, now demoted again, but making up places in that Nissan at this point in time, and currently just under pressure from Fock.
Ooh! Don't want to go there, son.
That wasn't very nice.
Oh. Well, we've not seen it, but Olive has gotten by Klaus, and Klaus is falling back. Olive is catching our leader, Pedro Marquez, for the race lead. There is Robin Klaus in 3rd position, now falling into the clutches of Sean Moriarty in the 4th place position. This is Antoine Olive. The F's in chat for the guy who stole my number car. You can't convince me that's anything else. But he is running down our leader, and at a very decent clip as well. He was 1.7 seconds back a little bit ago, then 1.5, now 1.2 thereabouts.
Can I just point out, I'm looking at our timing sheet at the moment, and half of the grid have invalid laps every single lap.
Well, in a 24-hour race...
There's some track limit liberties being taken here.
Well... I think, too, with no stewarding, okay, and this being a one-off event, and everybody taking it super seriously, they're trying to extract every single bit of performance out of the car and the track, and sometimes that is going to require you to go just a little bit wide, I think, and I think that's what's happening here. But in such a long race, you are going to have to be careful, because if you pick up 3 or more of those limit warnings, you are going to get a drive-through that will ruin all of your progress. So you can invalidate your lap without getting a limits warning, though. So hopefully that is the case most of the time. Here is Billy Octane's all-gas EA sports car.
Oh, that's
hit the escape road is Willamot. That's definitely a track cut. Willamot's going to hit the escape road. What can Billy Octane do? I want to see some of that legendary out-braking maneuver. Shading him all the way to the right side is Willamot. Billy Octane not having any of it, says, I'll get in there, son, if I want to. Thinks better of it. Octane saying, oh, I didn't want to that time.
I think he was going to have a little bit of a look of a switchback move, but nothing doing there. Antoine Olive, well, that was a track cut over the top of Radion, but he doesn't care because he's catching Pedro Marquez. And, well, we had a Lamborghini lead for the first couple of hours. We've had a Jag lead for the next 3 hours. Are we about to see another Lamborghini take the lead of this race? It's just about to go 5 in the evening here, local time at Spa. And we've got Mazzolini at this point in time. He's just behind Stricker, so he's dropped a couple of places now from where he was earlier on. But here comes the Nissan.
Oh, that's such a big
And look
car.
at that on the Aston
That's
V12,
unfair.
the Nissan.
That's unfair.
Wow, that was quick.
I don't know if it's worth the extra liter of fuel that you burn a lap, but that's cheating.
Well, William Mazzolini.
What was that?
I think I just combined his first name and
I
his
think you
surname.
did as well.
You could tell it's been a long day here at Spa, and we've still got a long way to go. But Jaroslav Roth, Budget Jardier, as I've called him in the past.
Oh my God, that's
in the never-ending
disrespectful.
first gear Jag. Currently chasing down Samuel Chumley, who we've all called Cholmondeley at some point in time in the past. There's no shame in admitting that one.
It took him coming into an interview to say, guys, you've been pronouncing my name wrong for 6 months to stop us.
There was definitely shame in when we all realized that one. But oh, here we go then. Pedro Marquez making a mistake, and this is going to be Antoine Olive going wide, but taking the lead. Here we go then. 5:36 local time. Antoine Olive now takes the lead of the race.
He's thinking about it.
Leaders as the Jag looks so close onto the back of the Lamborghini. Nothing doing there now, and Antoine Olive, he's got past, and he just has to push now for the rest of this race. We're almost 6 hours into the race, Jesse. He's got over 18 to go. Is that a McLaren coming out of the pit lane there?
Yeah, the 330 of Jacqueline has completed their mandatory stop. They went early, and this is what's sort of going on. Is look at this, the GTR again, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, gonna miss the apex there, and is gonna hemorrhage time and spaces, and that's how Mazzolini's races went so far. You gotta pay attention too, folks. Remember, 25C in the height of the day. It's cooling down at 6 p.m. in sim time, and the track temperature's coming down. You have to say that the reason that the 717 of Olive is so quick is maybe because their tires were more suited for the heat in the day. We'll have to pay attention because it is going to get cooler.
Can we point out Tom Roberts in the chat, who's just completely spoiled the joke of the 24-hour race here tonight?
I don't know what you're talking about. This is a 24-hour race.
Oh, we've had a mistake. We've had a mistake down towards the long down towards Bruxelles, the long right-hander. I think it was the Honda, was it, of Atzwanger, was on the inside of Mazzolini. And there was definitely a yellow flag there at some point. I'm not entirely sure what happened between those two. Atzwanger has fallen behind Junior McCall. I think this is Junior McCall at this point in time now challenging Mazzolini. So there's been a change of position due to a mistake there.
Well, the track definitely cooling off now, as after Olive passed Marquez for first place. Marquez now in the cooler track conditions. Looks like he's getting it together, but Mazzolini is going to spin across the track. He is going to slam into the inside wall where the karting circuit is, and that's going to be significant damage to the number 53 unteam named GTR. And was it help or was it just a curb here? I think it's going to be just a curb. Yes, indeed. The curb, cutting it too close, going off into the dirt, trying to correct it, locking it up. Slam, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Well, Not great for the likes of William Mazzolini, losing those places and dropping further down into that 17th place he's settled into now. Here is Samir Fock in the Salty
What'd you
Potato
say?
Racing. Salty Potato Racing. That is a great name for a team.
Oh man, you know how you have a spirit animal, right? Everybody has one. I think Salty Potato is mine.
Well, we're currently watching the Salty Potato Racing NSX non-Evo chase down Antonio Serredi in the Jag G3 GT3 car. And Serredi under quite a bit of pressure here at this point in time. And I tell you what, that Honda, definitely not one of the better cars out on the grid here this evening, but it's no slouch around here, especially compared to some of the other older cars at this circuit.
Well, we saw Magnani spin earlier at the top of Radion. Well, he is in pit lane getting his required service for the race. Sunlight continues to fade here at Spa-Francorchamps, and 7:18 local time was about an hour and a half ago. Olive took the top spot away from Marquez, but they have been chained to the hip, or chained at the hip, I should say, ever since then, as there is the state of it. And just like I said, I think it has something to do with the track, Tim. It is low again, and that has kept Marquez in this race. Olive maybe has tire pressures for the heat of the day, or a setup that works better on a slick track. It is rapidly decreasing, and if it's 17 now, Ryan Gill, what is it going to be like in just a little while? We're probably going to get into single digits overnight.
Definitely wouldn't be surprised if, around 1 in the morning, when the night is at its coldest, that we will start to see those temperatures really get cold around here at Spa. No sign of rain so far in the race. It's been almost 8 hours since we saw the green flag, and no rain at this point in time. Fairly unusual for Spa, I have to say. And here is Robin Klaus, by the way, trying to retake that position from Grant Willamot. He was ahead as he came into the timing zone at the end of the first sector, but he just hasn't quite been able to do so. And now he's under pressure from Billy Octane. And is Billy Octane going to have a look down into Purcell's? No, he's going to slot in behind. Oh, maybe. Oh, Billy Octane.
Heads up,
well, he likes to get close.
Yeah, if there's one thing that Harry Conway told me about Billy, he goes, well, don't let him get too close to you. And I was never very aware or sure what he meant by that. But, well, let's just say that we're in-laws now.
Antonio Serredi, meanwhile, is still defending from Samir Fock in the number 8 Honda. Some front-end damage on Antonio Serredi's Jag at this point in time. And some lovely pictures around here as the sun sets at the beautiful Spa-Francorchamps circuit.
Well, it's hard to believe we've been in the box for 10 hours at this point. It has absolutely flown by. It's felt more like 20 minutes than 10 hours, but here we are, still going strong. We'll be with you till the end of this. And I believe in doing this, Ryan, you and I will be the only 2 commentators ever, and Nick Setnick as well, who is providing these lovely pictures to everybody. We'll be the only broadcast team to have ever soloed a 24-hour race, as far as I'm concerned, full time without taking a break. So that'll be very interesting indeed. Somebody call up Guinness World Records, as Robin Klaus has absolutely fallen through this field. Remember, he qualified on pole, and by some margin, mind you. Well, the track temperatures are not doing him any good. All the way back into the 8th position. Olive leads Marquez, but it's actually went out to 1.3 seconds again. Moriarty 3rd, and Gunny Sue in 4th place. Roth is your top 5. Chumley, Willamot, Klaus, Octane, Magazi, the top 10 at this point in the race. As the sun begins to fade, got to get your eye in, Ryan. Night driving, very, very different than driving in the day. It's effectively like driving with blinders on.
It definitely is, and you mentioned the record 24 hours of well, just over 24 hours actually of constant commentary. I can tell you right now, I'm on my 18th coffee, and I've only just realised that it's not coffee I've been pouring into the coffee mug. It's actually been Red Bull for the past few hours. So I've already got mixed up between the coffee machine and the Red Bull cans, but these guys not getting mixed up on track yet about where they are in terms of positions. As Jesse alluded to earlier, Lamborghini leading the race. 1.5 seconds now. The Jag just starting to drop off slightly. So the Lamborghini coming a bit more back into its own now. As it's 15 degrees ambient, 15 degrees track around here at this point in time. And Robin Klaus continues his pursuit of Grant Willemot.
I do seem to recall the Jag having issues late, sort of falling off as Antoine Olive in pit lane, I should say. I don't know what I've been putting in my drink, but it's definitely not coffee. As Robin Klaus's day just keeps getting worse. Was that Willemot into him there again? I think it might have been in a spin and completely stopped in the middle of the chicane. That was Billy Octane. You're correct. Willemot is not in a Bentley, which he normally is. But that was Billy Octane who got a piece of that. And Robin Klaus's day has went from excellent to bad to worse and just completely stopping.
That's quite unusual. What? Did you notice
the livery
Robin Klaus's livery was very different in the replay?
It was, yes, it was the default, what is it? Racing livery.
It's one of the British GT liveries.
Racing.
For one of the new British GT liveries. Slightly unusual.
The only reason I didn't say anything is because the number matched up to what Klaus's car was. So I was like, I'm gonna roll with it. We'll unpack it later. But yeah, that indeed, I caught that as well, and it threw me. But Klaus having an issue there, collecting Octane. Octane still behind them. Stopped in the track, but got it going. Fell all the way down to, actually, did Klaus? Oh, Klaus would have lost spots, but that's right. Olive has pitted. So that promotes Pedro Marquez back to the point in the 28 Jag. They have not led for the past 4 hours, but find themselves back into the lead. What strategy could they possibly have? Ismail Gunisou now into the third place position, chasing down Moriarty. Not too much time in it between the two of them at this stage.
No, and 10 hours of racing has gone by. The sun has very clearly set. The lights are out here at Spa-Francorchamps, and all of these guys are preparing for the night stint ahead. They've done 10 hours of racing. They're going to be knackered by now. But the worst is yet to come, Jesse. The night is coming, and, well, I never experienced having raced around here in the dark. It gets very, very dark around this place, and it gets very dark very, very fast as well. And they're all going to find that out at this point in time. You can actually see the lighting changing right before our eyes, getting darker and darker and darker. And I would not be surprised if by the time we come around for the end of the next lap, it's almost pitch black around here.
Yeah, it's not like a modern F1 circuit at all, guys, where you have at least some track lighting or infield lighting that has some residual effect on the racetrack, where you have an idea. Some of the harder corners like this have flood lighting in them, just so you know where the limits and where the track actually is. But predominantly, for the most part of the way around here, you're literally just in a forest in Belgium, and if you've ever been in a forest in dusk, I wouldn't know why you would be, but if you were, you would know how dark it is in comparison to, let's say, if you were on a plane, or a plane as in the ground, not an aircraft, of course, but it's I realized what I was saying. I was
To
like, is it
specify that, didn't
so
you?
somebody would have asked, like, did he mean in the air? Well, also that's true, but in a forest it gets darker quicker and the shadows close in and you're just enveloped by darkness. And in fact, here we are a lap later, completely dark at this point. And well, for the next 8 hours or so, this is what they have to deal with. You got to be acutely aware of your surroundings, and you hopefully you have a rhythm down by now because you are going to need it. And of course, the temperature all the time plummeting, plummeting, plummeting as we are watching Ismail here get ever so close to Moriarty in front, but look at Roth closing in from behind as well.
Definitely is closing in behind, and I think the really interesting thing, Jesse, is where is Ryan Mawson going to come out in all of this? I mean, remember, he pitted really, really early on in the race. He pitted about 11 hours ago, I think it was, or just under 11 hours ago. So he's gone for the, I would call it the undercut, but I think it deserves a more fitting name. It's probably like the mega undercut, mother of all over undercuts, or something. We've got to name it. But you know, Ryan Mawson, he's come out. He's 5.4 seconds behind Olive, and that would put him in third place, I think, if everyone pitted at this point in time. Of course, not entirely sure if that adds up to everyone's pace at this point in time, but we could be looking at Ryan Mawson finding himself on the podium.
We very much could do indeed, but we're going to have to see how it shakes out. Ryan Mawson, who the only thing I know about Mawson is that he's going to be in the booth with me later for Night Owl. For those of you that don't have anything else to do this evening, join me and Mawson for Night Owl, not the season finale, but the penultimate round of the championship. Things getting very spicy indeed in Night Owl. Hope to see you there for that.
Can I,
for right now,
can I ask you, Jesse, man, what's it going to be like? I mean, you're here in Belgium for the 24 hours of Spa, and you're going to have to be flying out tomorrow for Italy. I mean, we're going to be finishing this race at around about midday. Midday tomorrow, as it hasn't currently passed over onto the next day yet. But I mean, you know, what's it going to be like for you? I mean, you've got to be out of here pretty sharpish, I imagine, once the race is over.
Yeah, the race is over. I'm going to hand over to you, and I'm going to jet out the back door. But well, my plan: sleep on the plane as per usual, and put up one of those "Do Not Disturb" signs. I think is what's going to happen. It's going to be very, very not ideal, but we do what we got to do here. I think the sickest joke of all on this April Fool's sort of weekend is what Mike Jones did to me, and that is the travel.
Oh dear. Well, we're just past the halfway mark in the race, and you'll see it's 10 past midnight in the morning. And it is Pedro Marquez that leads the way in the Jag for Sims and Riggs Esports. Not doing a bad job at this point in time. We've got Jaroslav Roth in the pit lane. I always find it interesting to serve your mandatory pit stop this late in the race. Serving about 12 hours in. Meanwhile, Billy Octane's got some company. He's not going to be alone tonight. Thank goodness. And he's got company in the shape of the number 8 Honda. It's the Salty Potato Racing, Jesse's favorite racing team.
Yeah, right now, Billy Octane's wondering what the fuck, because he didn't expect to be caught like that, but Samir Falk did catch him, and now it's gotten around him. He just went around the outside. How can he? What? How did he just go around the outside?
Well, you know what? This is an April Fool's race, and I think we've just been made a fool of there, and Billy Octane, I think he's just been made a fool of, and he won't be too happy about that. If I know Billy Octane, he's not going to be too amused. He's going to want to try and take that place back, but I just don't think the Bentley has the raw speed to catch up to the Honda at this point in time on the straights. And looks like the number 8 has got the job done. We've got yellow flags out. The number 69 is off the track and into the wall. What has happened to this car? And we're going to get a replay here. Oh, is this
Oh, yeah.
on Puon?
Oh, that
no.
snap and back it into the wall. Well, it is safer to do that, but it is just the same amount of damage, and that is heavy contact there. I think we've all done that at some point in our career. Just getting a little too wide there, trying to correct it, overcorrection, and turned it into a beer can. Oh no. Well, the Jaguar got done there.
The team names have been absolutely golden today, and the number 69, unfortunately, finding its back end, and actually the number 69's lost it again. I was just looking on the relative. The number 69 is another yellow flag. That's after Blanchimon. Oh dear. And is that just trying to return to the pit lane too quick? And just creating your own incident again? I think they were on their own. I'm not sure if that car.
It's done. Yeah,
that
he's trying
has
to
seen
drive
better
it
days. Well, let's see what's going to happen here. Whoa!
Oh my gosh!
Whoa! That car exits stage right.
Oh, Randy Orton RKO out of nowhere ×2. And now he's done it on every single side. He attempts here to get it going, and I think he just parks it and tows it because that thing is done on every... Consider yourself shagged, I guess.
Oh dear. And the jokes continue to get worse as the race goes on. Billy Octane in the pit lane, by the way. He's come to serve his mandatory pit stop, and a lot of guys in the chat saying 12 hours in the Nissan with no added fuel must be a record, and that needs to be addressed, Jesse. Mazzolini has driven that car for almost 14 hours now, and it's still going.
Yeah, I'm amazed. I don't know what Nissan did, what Nismo did to that car to make it quite so fuel efficient. Well, there's no stewards, so we can't take it apart after the race. But one thing's for sure, it is very obvious to us from our commentary point that something is fishy there with the GTR. Antoine Alive here in danger here racing the GTR. This is for position, but of course, Mazzolini hasn't pitted. That could have been dangerous, very dangerous indeed. Coming out of Radion on the outside. Keep in mind, this was the car that was leading prior to the sequence of pit stops. Still very dangerous stuff here. Trying to get around a car like that. He has to, does Antoine Alive. He doesn't have a choice, but that doesn't make it any less dangerous in the dark, but eventually gets the pass done and gets some space, but some tense moments through Radion there.
Definitely some tense moments, and I think there's going to be a few more in this race at this point in time. Mike Jones was pointing out that he was expecting it to have rained at some point throughout this race. I think we were expecting it to have rained at some stage throughout the race. Only been cloudy so far today.
Well, it has gone full cloudy, though, just in the past hour. So that might be promising. Of course, it was set up to do here at RCI, for those of you that may not be aware, as Robin Klaus comes in to serve their mandatory stop. For those of you that may not know, we don't dictate the weather here at RCI. We almost never do that, and if we do, it's documented. It's sort of allowed to do its own thing in our races. And, well, looks like...
It's
Mother
doing its
Nature
own
has
thing.
Yeah, it's definitely doing its own thing. It's surprising us, for sure, as Jaroslav Roth attempting to get by Mazzolini now. Mazzolini, remember, will have not pitted and also had that contact with the barrier at the entrance to Sector 3. So that car...
I love the theories coming out here, Sebastian Alexander. Turns out the driver of the Nissan can't look right, as they're just staring at a huge fuel tank that takes up the interior of the car. And if ever there was a safety hazard on track, it would be that Nissan.
Well, you remember old, I think it was GT1 cars, you were literally sitting on the fuel tank because they wanted to mount it as low as humanly possible for drag, and Jaroslav Roth is going to lose it. Barusian crashes into Radion, and Mazzolini gets through, and that car has a headlight out. That's going to be an MOT failure. Massive damage.
Oh dear, gonna get a replay here. And oh, yep.
Oh, look at the damage.
That car is that car has seen better days, and I don't really think that's gonna be. No, that's straight back to the pit lane. That's been towed.
Well, that's not going to be a never-ending first gear. That's going to be a never-ending pit stop. I'm thinking 5-10 minutes of damage on that car, complete with the tow. So he's going to be there for quite some time as the
Going to be there for a few hours
in pit road, the 288 in pit road. And here comes Samir in the number 8, Salty Tater, as I would say. We don't say potato here, Ryan, by the way. We say tater.
Is this another one of your strange American slang words?
No, but this is one of my strange American Southerner things. Not everybody says tater, but where I'm from specifically, all sodas are called Cokes, and all spuds, even mash, are called taters.
Well, we're still here in Europe, so we'll call them potato. And we'll
What
continue.
was that look?
Well, I'm not going to tell you what that look means. You know what that look means. And Sean Moriarty currently sits third place at the moment. We've got 2 Aston Martin V12s in the top 3 at this point in time. Provisional top 3, though. Still a long way to go yet for all of these guys. And I think we're approaching just about 8. Yeah, it's just about over 8 hours of the race remaining. We've got through almost 16 hours of racing so far, Jesse. And not entirely sure how the race for the lead is going to shape out. I mean, Marquez is still going in that Jag. He's got to pit at some point in time. Mazzolini has pitted, by the way, and there we go. Side by side, we have Robin Klaus. And
oh, baby, that's going to be a spin. Robin Klaus again with the spin, avoiding maneuvers by everybody around. I don't think he hit anything.
That was with Stricker, who has apparently gone off at the bus stop chicane as well. Was this contact or?
That might have been.
Impossible to see from that camera angle, though.
It might have been. The Nick Setnick doing a great job catching all of these angles. It's just sometimes the cameramen they don't. Well, it's late. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It's late, and they are not fully awake. They do not have the benefit of a coffee maker on their camera stands. But I'm 50-50, but I'm willing to believe there either was contact or contact that was avoided that led to that one way or another. I'm sure we can all agree upon, but something else we can all agree upon, Robin Klaus, who started on pole, has just had a miserable nearly 18 hours to this point. Well, it was fully cloudy overnight. We had a low of about 12°C, and it has gone now partly cloudy, and the track temp is starting to come up at 4:30 in the morning here at Spa, as we start to see the beginnings of light in the sky, the long night portion coming to an end. And for the drivers that are still in it with a chance, for every team still running, for the 19 of them still running, started with 23 down to 19, it is the first glimmer of daylight and the first glimmer of hope, a second wind, if you will, invigoration that you can make it to the end of this race. But for a lot of these teams in the top 10, there is still a major job to do.
Yeah, definitely still quite a ways to go in this race. Things can still change up. Chumley sitting third place at this point in time. And sitting third, is that Klaus? Right in behind Chumley at
That
this point?
there's several Skittle-colored Lambos, so it's impossible to know, but it might be.
Well, he must be a lap down
Marquez
then.
is in. He
He
is
must be a
indeed a
lap
lap
down
down.
then. Pedro Marquez is in. He's waited until about 5 in the morning to have his mandatory pit stop for the day, and he's done very well on that tank of fuel. So this means Gunyesu will inherit the lead of the race.
Yes, he will. I think he will be the one that has led the most of the race. I don't know if he will win the race, but I think he'll be the one that has led the majority of the race. Ismail Gunyesu back out in front of the field, or actually in front of the field for the very first time. Another lead change. We've had so many lead changes over the past 18 or so hours. It has been a highly competitive race and strategy unfolding right in front of our eyes as the light returns and dawn has dawned on us.
It'll be not long after 6 in the morning that we get a sunrise. By the way, I've got it listed just before 10 past 6 in the morning as Marquez came into the pit lane about 20 minutes ago. He's finally reached his pit box. It's a long pit lane here at Spa.
20 minutes, apparently.
And it takes an hour to get in and out of the place. I mean, you wouldn't believe it, Jesse.
Yeah, I've definitely driven down it. It definitely feels like it's 20 minutes long, so I'm willing to believe you without doing the math there. Well, here's Junior McCall. He started dead last, 23rd place did Junior McCall. Started from pit lane. And he has worked his way up to the 4th place position. Only 4 cars that haven't pitted. He's the last car.
What a comeback drive so
far.
But
it has been fantastic.
4th place for the pit lane.
Well, McCall's just not been involved in any incident. If that was a strategy call, I think it's been the right one. Because if the argument is they could have started in the middle of the pack and been caught up in any number of the incidents we've seen in the first half of the race. Or you can start from pit lane. You can be about a third of a lap down, miss all the incidences, run your own race, execute your strategy, and if you have enough speed, you could potentially end up inside the top 10 or better, and I think that's what he's doing. He's doing it, and it's working an absolute treat. Ismail Gunyesu in pit road in the 83. Going to get some service here. That will hand over the lead to Samuel Chumley. Hashtag Chum Train in full effect here for yet another leader. Oh, his name's Chum Train.
We've had 4 different manufacturers, 7 different leaders for this race so far.
Oh no! Car in front of him! Big collision! Now, was that Klaus? I think it might have been Samuel Chumley, the leader, in a crash at Radion, and Chumley is destroyed.
Oh, the pole sitter and the former leader getting caught up with the McLaren. Oh, makes a mistake. Chumley just didn't see him coming over the crest at Radion. Oh, and there's heavy damage on that car.
Hit the hashtag drama alert. The leader involved in an incident here. 6:20 in the morning, and the Chum Train is going to have to roll back into station for some repairs after that. And now a new leader of the race, Willamont in the 316. Grant Willamont leads this race.
This has been one of the best races we've ever seen. So many lead changes. And by the way, big shout out to everyone who's been watching along this 24 hours. There's been some people here, Jesse, that have been sat here watching this race for as long as we've been commentating it. I mean, can you believe it?
I mean, absolutely true, Ryan, and big kudos to you. We know it's hard for us in the booth, but at least we're keeping busy with things to do. In chat, for those of you are diehard fans, I know we have a lot of endurance races here at RCI, and this is one of the big ones. So thank you for being with us. And I saw somebody in chat earlier say that it had been 12 hours and they hadn't been to the bathroom yet. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily healthy, but
Is that a
impressive
world record?
nonetheless.
I mean, what is
No,
the record? The longest period without going to the bathroom?
without dying, I think it's
Without
like
dying?
I think it's like 14 days.
Oh my word! Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we've already been here for 24, pretty much. I mean, what's
Mm.
another 13?
I'm not holding it for 13 more days, Ryan. I'm just gonna let you know right now.
Well, I'm disappointed, Jesse. I thought you'd be standing side by side me when I need you the
I'm
most,
not,
but
May. I am not standing side by side you whenever that's taking place. That is never going to happen. We do have a developing story. Anton Olive, or Antoine, however he wishes to pronounce his name, he's not the leading driver right now. Marquez is in front, and Moriarty is in front of him. This is Olive who is chasing down Moriarty, but that staying out that Pedro Marquez did all through the night section has absolutely worked for him. Marquez is way out in front. He could potentially be in the driver's seat. I was saying that I didn't think that he could potentially win this race, but I think he is going to now. He's way out there.
he's 3 seconds up the road from Sean Moriarty, who's currently under pressure from Antoine Olive, who he was leading this race at one point in time, and, well, he wants to throw himself back up and close in to potentially lead the race again. 4th, 5th, and 6th, all within visual distance. And that is
Getting a little
Pedro
tired there, Ryan.
Pedro Marquez. Yeah, I mean, well, Jesse, I mean, it's 7:30 in the morning at this stage. We've been here since, what is it, about 8 o'clock in the morning?
Oh,
Well,
watch
I
out.
mean, we've been here for 24 hours. And,
We have been here for 24 hours, yeah.
and the race has still got another, just over 4 hours to go at this stage in the race. And, well, Antoine Olive, he'll be getting told that by his race engineer. He'll be saying, "Hey, come on, mate. We've only got just over 4 hours to go. We
Look at
need
him
to get this
slide it
move
down the
done."
inside.
And here we go then. This is going to be the move done. Antoine Olive moves up ahead of Sean Moriarty, and now he will start to close down this 2.9 seconds between himself and Pedro Marquez. The fight for the, I guess, provisional third place, soon to be the lead of the race, is still on with 4 hours to go.
This is incredible. This is why you do it. You survive for the majority of the race. It comes down to winning time. You can execute a strategy, and that is what we're seeing here. Antoine Olive trying to do the comeback of all comebacks. The pit cycle not very in his favor in the 717. The F's out for the guy who stole my number. Must have been involved in an incident or something. I can't think of one single other thing what the F asterisk would mean.
You love tribute liveries and team names, don't you? I mean, dedicated cause. Love to see it out here. You can actually see Pedro Marquez just up the road, just under 3.3 seconds. And Junior McCall and Grant Willamot still haven't pitted, Jesse. These guys have gone 20 hours at this stage in the race without pitting. They've done 20 hours on the same set of tyres and on the same fuel tank as well. I mean, I don't know what that Bentley and that Aston Martin V12 are like on MPG, but I mean, I'm considering picking up a V12 at this point if its fuel economy is this good.
Well, the V12, it has 12 cylinders and they're all very efficient. So that's how that works, I'm assuming. Otherwise, I can't fully explain the longevity of Grant Willamot, but either way, pit stop or not, he is leading this race. Still has a pit stop left to do. And Junior McCall in second place, all the way up from the basement. onto the podium spots. Whether he finishes there or not relevant. He has done a fantastic job. And perhaps the only car out here that's not an absolute eyesore is Junior McCall's car. Sean Moriarty's is normal as well. Yeah, didn't. I think that's actually just the PPR esports kind of car. I don't think he actually did anything to that car, but you got to give it to Sean. He has been in the top 5 all day, last 18 hours or so, and he has done a great job navigating traffic, making passes, and keeping himself in the race. The only thing on that car is a bit of dirt and grime from the past 24 hours, and the temperature continues to rise. Partly cloudy here, currently at 9 a.m. in sim time, 19 degrees. Oh, look at these beautiful shots in the shade in the morning. Temps going up. They will continue to rise before the end of this race, as there is a local yellow out in front, but it has been pulled away. Something in the chicane. Was that something with the 717, I wonder? Don't know, but certainly there was a local yellow there. But
also, shout out to the resilience of these cars, I guess, in this race as well. We've only lost 5 cars from this race so far, with just under 3 hours to go. 21 hours of racing, only 5 cars biting the dust. I mean, is that close to a record for Spa?
I think in real life they have had races where not a single car fell out of the race. I'm pretty sure that happened one year, but it was only because the race was like red flag.
I'm clutching at straws here for a record, Jesse. let me
I'm
have
sorry.
it.
I'm sorry, but I think it did happen, but it was only because the race was red flagged for fog or something for a vast majority of the time. This is the story of the race. Pedro Marquez leads Antoine Alive, and that is all there is in it. Just about 2 seconds the gap as we are running up to the checkered flag today in what has been a thrilling 24. And as Ryan said earlier, for those of you that have been with us for the duration, you are magnificent Iron Men style people. And we absolutely love having you. Hey, and if you are not already subscribed to the RCI YouTube channel, why not subscribe and like for more GT racing content? We promise you we're usually a lot more professional than this, but this race,
Are you trying to say this hasn't been professional?
I'm saying, generally speaking, we're a lot more professional than we are being. And this, of course, a very special race that we are doing. Thank you all at home for playing along and coming along with us on this journey. It has been fantastic, and all jokes aside, which is, of course, the premise of this race. If you haven't caught on yet, it is just a bit of fun. It has actually been a darn good race.
Well, we've got 2 hours left, Jesse. And we've got 2 hours left to decide a 1.8 second gap between a Jag and a Lamborghini Huracan GT3 non-Evo. And at this point in time, how many 24-hour races have come down to the last couple of hours, 2 cars this close together? And at the rate that it's going at the moment, I mean, could we have 2 cars competing for the lead in the last couple of minutes of the race, being just, maybe separated by about a second? Surely that's got to be one of the closest finishes in 24-hour history. I know Le Mans had a very close finish. It was about 100 meters between the 2 leading cars. But I'm not sure what the record may be for the Spa 24 hour. Has there been any Spa 24 hours that have gone down to the wire?
Yeah, I believe there has been. We've even had races here that have come down to sort of bumps that have changed the outcome in the chicane and last lap passes. And I think in the real thing, they've had a couple of races where the race was decided in the final few laps. I'd have to go back and confirm that, but pretty sure of that. Oh, William Mazzolini has pulled the 53 GTR to the side of the road. Now that looks like some form of suspension issue there. See how it's pulling to the right? I'm pretty sure if we could see the right side of the car,
Well,
the
it's not
tire.
moving at all at the moment, Jesse.
Yeah, well, it's I think the right side tires are pointed a different direction than the left side tires.
Well, that's
As
Mazzolini effectively out of this race.
well,
As
here's Willamot.
oh, and here's Junior
Well,
McCall.
Willamot in
McCall
pit
and
road.
Willamot both in pit road. Wow, look at this! Almost 23-hour stint from these guys on those tires and that fuel tank. I mean, that is absolutely incredible, and that needs to be acknowledged as well.
Yeah, it does. If it was me, I'd be in pit road. I'd switch that car off so they could put fuel in, and I'd fall asleep. But not these guys. They are made of sterner stuff. Pedro Marquez will come across the line to take the lead of this race once again. As the 53, by the way, of Mazzolini is still sitting up against the barrier halfway down the Kimmel Straight.
Well, here we go.
Here it is. The race for the lead very much on. As you see, Willamot and McCall leaving pit lane, but it is an ever such a long pit lane, a 20-minute pit lane, as Ryan Gill pointed out earlier. And here you have it. This is, folks, in the final few hours of the race, this is the race for the win in the RCI 24 Hours of Spa.
45 minutes of this race remain. Pedro Marquez and Antoine Olive in the lead at this point in time. It's Jaguar versus Lamborghini for the final stint of this race. It's been absolutely dramatic. We've had 7 different leaders, 4 different manufacturers lead at one point throughout this race, but these 2 are the ones that have come out on top so far towards the end of the race. The Jag and the Lamborghini, they're still in it. 10.3 second gap behind them is Sean Moriarty. He's pretty safe in 3rd place at this point in time. But here we go then. And I think, Jesse, that we're going to get one more lap around this circuit. This is not going to be the final lap of the race.
Ryan, I was just thinking that. I was doing the math in my head. I was like, wait, they're going to get one more lap out of this. They are going to extend this race, and that could be a winning move for Olive behind, as there is nothing in it between the 2 of them. You gotta wonder, how wide can Marquez make that Jag? And the other thing, commentators curse. What would happen if one of these guys got a penalty by going a bit too wide one final time? But here we go. Coming up to the chicane, the bus stop for the final time. The bus stop that was once a bus stop, but isn't anymore after the reconfiguration, but is still known as such. 1 lap to go in the 24 Spa here on RCI. Place your bets, folks.
Well, absolutely biased and proud. The Lamborghini is in my books. I've got the bet odds right here, right now, and well, they're telling me that the Lamborghini, it's likely to win this race here tonight. And I've got money on the Lamborghini. So Antoine Olive, if he doesn't deliver here, I'm going to be paying him a visit after this race, and it's not going to be a happy one either. The Nissan still stranded on the side of the circuit. Means that he won't be able to get an overtake done there. Double waved yellow flags, but then it is green as they make their way towards the end of the Kemmel Straight. This is the final lap of the 24 Hours of Spa, the April Fool's event. Pedro Marquez versus Antoine Olive. First sector down, 2 sectors to go as they make their way down towards Bruxelles for the final time at racing speed.
Come on, Jag! Come on, baby! I just placed a large bet on the Jaguar here to win this race, and just to spite you and your silly fake Ferrari, I got to go with the Jag here.
Jesse Lee, I mean, I wasn't gonna punch that below the belt, but I suppose all's fair now at this point in time. But
I'm flying to Italy today. I don't care. Come on, Jaguar!
Pedro Marquez continues his defense from Antoine Olive, number 28, carrying Harry Conway's number here this evening. Hopefully he won't carry Harry Conway's bad luck that he's been having in races lately.
Oh, speaking of low
And
blows,
here comes
there
the
goes the
Lamborghini.
tail.
And
Maybe
this is
a
going
little
to be
bump.
it. This is going to be it. This is going to be the Lamborghini's final chance. Needs to get a good drive out of campus at this point in time. They'll be coming up towards Blanchimont and then the bus stop chicane for the final time. This is
He's
where
gonna
the
have to die
Lamborghini
for it.
has to make it. They have to make it stick. Can't afford to be too close coming in through Blanchimont.
Oh,
It's
he's
not
gonna
too
have a
close. There's
chance.
going to be
He's
enough
gonna have
to
a
go dive
chance.
from. Here comes the Lamborghini. Here comes Antoine Olive. He's going to have a look on the inside. Is there going to be enough room? The Jag
Side
keeps
by
it
side.
on defensive. Is there going to be contact? He's turned him
Crossover
around.
and a spin and a spin. Antoine Olive spins Pedro Marquez and is not going to take the win because he's a sportsman after all. Pedro Marquez is going to come to the line and win the race. A sign of ultimate sportsmanship by Antoine Olive in the 717, hands the race to Pedro Marquez, comes to blows in the chicane, and what a run to the line and what sportsmanship as Grant Willamont is going to come home third. Take us through that again, Ryan.
Well, you could just see the Lamborghini had a very good drive, and of course in the slipstream of the Jag as well, catching, had to make sure he wasn't too close coming through Blanchimont, make sure he didn't get held up, and then this was it. You called it. He had to go for the dive, had to look on the inside, defensive from the Jag. Then he had to think about the switchback, wasn't going to get the move done there. Goes for the switchback, just clips the back end of the Jag and turns Pedro Marquez around, but Antoine Olive, he doesn't want to win a 24-hour race like that. Pulls over to the side, and very, very well done. Brilliant sportsman-like behavior. He's going to allow the 28 to win the April Fool's 24 Hours of Spa, and thoroughly deserved as well for Pedro Marquez.
Kids at home, if you're wondering what sportsmanship looks like, if you're wondering what it takes to be a professional esports racer, if you're looking what it takes to be a decent human being, Antoine Olive, you have just seen it as everybody is surrounding the man.
Sean Moriarty's out of fuel.
Sean Moriarty out of fuel. That's why Willamont has come home in third place. Will anybody push the PPR Esports number 2 to the line? I recall somebody doing that to you, Ryan, here a year ago.
I did. I had a Ferrari push me from, I think it was about Puon all the way to the line. Oh, and Sean Moriarty, who had third place in the bag. And
well, the 51 got disqualified for reasons. I'm not sure why that happened, but they were disqualified.
Oh dear, and Sean Moriarty, unless one of the drivers coming around on their parade lap for the end of the race is going to push him, I think the Aston Martin V12 is going to be stranded down towards the bus stop chicane. Kind of disappointing sight for the PPR Esports car. But my word, what a way to end the very first 24 Hours of Spot. Was that Billy Octane doing drifts in the background in the Bentley?
You know it was. If the question is Billy Octane doing blank, the answer is usually yes.
Well,
I want to see if they push him here as we're coming to the line. The results confirmed.
It's been towed. The number 12.
I see.
The number 2, sorry, has been towed.
Well, here is your results confirmed. Pedro Marquez wins over Antoine Olive, a class act, ultimate sportsmanship on display at the end of the RCI 24 of Spa. Grant Willamont will take over and finish in the third spot, and well-deserved from him, keeping it in the race. Of course, Gunny Sue fourth. Junior McCall will finish inside the top 5 after starting 23rd from the pit lane. Behind him, Ryan Mawson, Billy Octane, Samuel Chumley, Saradi, Foch, Magnani, Moriarty, all the way down in 12th after running out of fuel. Atzwanger, Jacqueline Mazzolini, who was stopped at the top of Radion on the Camel Straight. Bowskry Klaus, who started on pole today, had a terrible race. Magazi, Roth, Fritsch, And let's see, we've got Ada, the other McCall, and Stricker, who was disqualified at the final seconds. That is your complete finishing order of this race. Holy cow. I think we come back and do a 24 next year.
I think it's definitely something we should consider doing for next year, Jesse. And well, it's been absolutely fantastic. I believe that one of the drivers that's been out in the 24-hour race wants to come in and have an interview, and it's one of our own commentators here as well that's wanted to come out and do an interview, and it's no other than Ryan Mawson, who pitted early on and did about 23 hours on a set of tires. And I mean, Ryan, coming into the box now, I mean, what are your thoughts after completing a 24-hour race on your own around here at Spa today?
Well, what is it? Evening, morning? I would like to see either, but yes. Oh, it was fantastic fun. Really, we are really lucky that the weather gods had blessed us. You know, obviously in the Arden Forest, we're prone to a little bit of rain, but that didn't happen. Yeah, I pitted early. I admittedly that was of my own doing. I tried to outbrake another Jaguar, which when you're in two Jaguars, that doesn't always go very well. Had a spin, and I thought we'll try an alternate strategy from what I was going to do. I'm already at the back of the field. Let's see if getting out of the battles improves my finishing result. And well, I qualified 10th. I finished 6th. It can't all be bad.
Well, absolutely fantastic. And I mean, you had to do about 23 hours on a single set of tires and on a single tank of fuel as well. I mean, for the guys out here at home, maybe new to GT3 racing. I mean, can you give them a bit of an insight? How did you manage to make the tires last that long?
I will say they are very much not factory fresh by the end of this. The Jag was getting more and more leery towards the end of it. So we're mainly just putting the traction control up a little bit more and really trying to consciously roll on the throttle rather than just stamping it as I did at the start of the race. It does get a little bit better when the fuel load went down. As the tank empties, as the Jag is pretty thirsty on its fuel. That didn't take very long, but then the other problem is when it made it lighter, it sort of counteracted. You have less weight, so you don't get any understeer anymore. But what you do then get is horrendous amounts of oversteer instead. So you just swapped driving characteristics. But yeah, I was very conscious on the fuel. In the pit stop, I did take a little bit more fuel because I knew that the Jag, you can do an hour. I have done it once in a race, but I had 1 liter remaining. And this race, I thought, let's not do that. Let's take a little bit of fuel, and that proved to be the good solution, considering I finished with only 2 liters left, and we passed someone who had run out of fuel at bus stop. It's just you'd cry if you got all the way this far. 23 hours 59 minutes to run out of fuel there.
Well, that was the case for Sean Moriarty, who unfortunately did run out of fuel right towards the end, and no one willing to push the number 2, unfortunately, and that car did have to be towed. So, well, thank you very much, Ryan, for joining us here for a post-race interview, of course. And I expect you and Jesse are going to be quickly out the back of the commentary box and heading out to Misano for a race happening in not too long, actually. I believe the practice session for the Night Owls Season 3 race is due to get started very, very soon. They'll be out at Misano. I've heard that there's rain about for that race this evening, so hopefully you guys can get to the circuit in time for the start of that race. And, if people are looking forward to some more racing, we do have some more action going on tomorrow for the 3rd weekend in a row. They're going to have an endurance race, and it's going to be the 6 hours of Alton Park GT4 only. Absolutely incredible. 6 hours of racing around one of Britain's most difficult circuits, and of course, in the GT4 cars, no less. Going to be an interesting one for sure. The Monday Championship has, of course, concluded. Nothing happening on Monday or Tuesday. Diamond Drive Cup concludes next Wednesday. And then, of course, on Thursday and Friday, nothing happening. And then the following Saturday will be the conclusion of the Night Owl Championship. Big thank you to Jesse Lee for joining me in the commentary box here this evening. And, of course, Nick Setnick as well, the real champion. 24 hours of broadcasting for that man. And he's now got to fly out with Jesse and Ryan to Misano as well. Unbelievable. Iron Man. Absolutely incredible. But big thank you to all of you guys for tuning in as well for our first ever 24 Hours of Spa. Big thank you to Race Department, AK Informaticus, Raceface Speed Labs, and Sim Racing GP for making all of this possible. And we hope to see you in just about an hour's time for the start of the Night Owl live stream. We hope to see you. And if you're not going to be around, well, enjoy the rest of your evening.